Hello and welcome to another episode of Millionaire Autobahn. My name is Martin. So today actually I have a little bit of a confession to make. So you might remember when I did this video the other day where Ross Cameron lost actually over $50,000. I think it was $58,000. And I said, well, if he would have done the 1% rule, he would have actually, with all his trades, still actually gained a considerable amount of money. What happened actually was, well, I lost some money too. So on Monday of this week, the overall sentiment in the market was actually not that good. However, there were some stocks I went into, and I want to talk about what the biggest problem actually was. It was not that, a little bit that I did here and there something wrong, but the main problem is if you do something emotional. I think that is an extremely no-no. So in my case, what I did was I went into a stock I was in the day or the 2 days or whatever before. When I traded Repl, and I give you a little bit of an information about this particular stock. So Repl is some sort of a medical company. They do pharmaceutical stuff, right? Weeks ago, it came out that they actually did not get some approval from the Federal Drug Administration. It was actually said that their test was not the way it should have been. And so their stock price plummeted really bad, like from 70 something dollars down to like $6-7 overnight because of that. And now they have actually quite a lot of lawsuits coming against them. So nevertheless, the interesting part about this stock, why I used it the last week, was it went up and down like 5% up, 5% down, 5% up. So it was actually fairly simple to trade the stock on the uptrend. And the reason is also that the stock exchange actually didn't allow shorting the stock. That kind of helps that it doesn't go any further down. So that actually was kind of a positive for this stock. And so I went in, as said, I went in more on an emotional level because I had pretty good profits with this stock over the last week. So I was like, yeah, that's a pretty safe bet. I'm going in. I went in at $5.55, and I set my stop loss at $5.25. I want to get out at $5.75. So now that's my first big mistake I actually did, was that I went out at $5.75, because when you calculate 1% of $5.55 would be just $5.60, or maybe 61, $5.61. And as you can see in the screenshot right then and there, at that time when it actually went red, it was at 562. So it was actually at 565 just a couple of seconds before that. So if I would have played by my own rules and said, get out at 1% or 1.2%, just to have a little bit of a cushion, I would have made my quota for the day, no problem whatsoever. Maybe around $100, and that would have been fine, and I could have turned off the computer. But, and there's the but, and you see it right then and there on the screen, I had my sell 575, sorry for that, and my stop loss at 525. Nothing wrong with the stop loss though. It could have been a little bit higher. I just wanted to set it below that one green candle there that had the biggest gain. But nevertheless, I could have set it a little bit higher. But my sell to have my gain for the day was too high. So from that moment on, it kind of went south, right? So, well, I don't actually have a screenshot of that particular end trade, but you can see on the top right that I'm in the negative of about 580 something dollars there. So what happened was, and that was my next big mistake, when the stock went down, I did not actually leave the stop loss where it was. Because I was thinking, oh, it will go up again, so don't worry about it. Just put the stop loss lower and lower and lower. And as you can see on the bottom actually of the screen, on the bottom left, I sold at the end at $5.10. And with that, I made that $597 loss. And yes, in both times, or overall in 3 times, I went against what my rules actually are. And I'm not really pissed about it. I'm just kind of like, okay, don't do these errors again. So the first error was I went into this stock without actually thinking about it. It was more an emotional stock. And you shouldn't do that. You really should look at the numbers. You should look at what stock makes sense for the day. And that's what you need to trade, right? And I didn't do that. So the next point then was I set my sell limit too high. It was like more like 2 point something percent and not 1.2%. If I would have done that, I would have been out of the trade and I would have made my quota for the day all good, right? And then my third issue that I made, and it's again emotional, is that I lowered my stop loss. I had it at 525. I would have still lost, but I would have maybe lost just maybe $250. But no, I lowered that to 510, and so I lost even more, right? So that was bad. Nevertheless, if it's my own mistakes, I'm not that actually worried about it because I'm still in the learning curve here, and we're all humans, we're all emotional, so those things actually happen. So, and usually I say, okay, I'm done for the day when trading once, if it is positive or negative. So, but I didn't. The main reason is on the day before I actually traded also twice, both went positive, and overall the whole last week was all positive. So I was actually quite happy, and I figured, well, okay, this was a loss there, so let's move on and just see if there's some other stocks out there that make more sense. And there were. So my next stock I traded for the day was Wayfair. So their actually revenue and quarterly numbers came out, and they were very positive. People were buying a lot of new furniture from Wayfair, and so their stock price went up quite good. And as you can see on the left side, about 8%, right? So I went in when it was already kind of, it had a little bit of a downtrend there. So it had some sort of it went stable around the $69 mark. That's when it consolidated. So I figured, well, let's go in and do a trade. And I did. And so I made actually $155 positive gain on that, which was great. So my loss for the day would have only been $433 at that time. So I figured, well, okay, this was a good trade. So let's just move on. I want to point out, I wasn't revenge trading. I was really just trading the way I wanted to trade and learning. That's one of the things. Yes, you could say, well, it's stupid, do paper trading if you still want to learn. But to me, there's a big difference if you use your own money or if you use just virtual money. The real money kind of, hits harder to home, right? And so you usually should be way more concerned that you do it really right. Or you do it wrong and, you just lose, period. So then I went into a third trade of the day. Let's just go there real quick. So the third trade of the day, I kind of already started on the wrong foot with that one. I went in when it was consolidating on the high, and so I have this thing. I look at the stock and I say, oh, this is the price I want to enter, right? So in this case, I actually said to myself, I want to enter at $5.30. The strange thing is, and I don't know why I do that, and you might do the same thing. You see the stock moving and you kind of, and I said that in a video before, you shouldn't do that, chasing the price, right? So it kind of went up and down a little bit. It never went to the 530 at that moment. So I was like, yeah, maybe I should get in at a little bit a higher price. And that's wrong. Always go for your first, let's say, gut feeling, right? If that's 530, put it at 5:30, go in at 5:30, and don't do anything else, right? Just go in at 5:30. If you don't get the stock, then don't worry about it. It was just not meant to be, right? So I went up with my buy order, and obviously it went downhill from there. So I went up to 570, which was total nonsense. I did it anyways, right? So from there, what happened next was another big loss. So at the end, I had a stop loss, and I again did also the wrong thing there. I moved the stop loss down and down and down because I thought it'll go up again, but it never did. So at the end, I sold at 505 and lost another $510. So overall for that day, I was down $941. And to put this in comparison, actually, with Ross Cameron, my loss was actually way bigger than his. Overall, my loss was actually bigger than Ross Cameron's loss, if you think of it. So when he trades with, let's say, $300,000 or $400,000, and he loses $58,000 on that day, so he actually lost, if you say 400,000, so he lost about 12%, right? In my case, if I say I traded actually in that case, I traded with about $6,000. That was my daily limit that I had with the 1% gain per day. So the $6,000, and I lost, let's say just roughly $1,000, right? That's close like to 18%, right? So that's quite a lot that I lost there for that given day. It's what happens. As said, I'm not mad about it. It's a learning curve, and everybody who is doing day trading will actually fall into that learning curve and will have losses in there, and that's okay. That's why I always say you have to have the capital, you have to have that money on the side to do the trading, because you will lose. There will be days, even though you don't want it, even though you start off on the right foot, but then you move things around that you shouldn't. You didn't look closely enough into the stock you want to trade. You didn't get in the right time with the amount you actually set for yourself. You didn't fix your stop loss. You moved it around, moved it down because you thought, it might still go up. And it didn't. So yes, this will happen to you too. And it happened to me, but as said, I'm not too concerned about it. The reason is, and I tell you that because on Friday, I think last Friday it was when stocks actually took kind of a big hit. And I looked in my other portfolios I have. I lost about $1,200 or so, $1,500 a day on that one. It's not a big portfolio, but still I lost that. And I was kind of pissed because I should have gone in there in the morning and said, oh, stock market's not looking good, so maybe let's get rid of some of the positions and just wait a day or two and see where it goes. So I didn't do that. So that actually kind of concerned me more because it kind of wasn't my fault that these stocks went down. It's just what happened in the market on that given day, right? And so that kind of, yes, pissed me off more than what I did with trading, having my losses. And because that's my own fault. And as I always said, what I like about day trading is it's just me. I cannot blame anybody but me. And that's kind of the good thing, because I know I can work on myself. I can make it better. And so that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm trying to do to make it better. To don't do this mistakes, right? Don't do these mistakes, because you learn from your mistakes. That's usually what's happening. That's usually what should happen, right? So that's what I'm trying to do, to learn from these mistakes. And so I'm not unhappy about it, because it kind of hits home hard, losing about $1,000 a day. But as said, it kind of helps to actually train yourself to not do these mistakes again. So the next day when I was trading again, it's not that I said, oh, I'm not trading, I have to lay low a little bit. No, I went back in, wanted to trade. And of course I was then extra cautious and I didn't take a trade that I should have taken, but that's fine. That's fine. So be extra cautious. There's nothing wrong with that. You much rather don't take a trade than take the wrong trade, right? So I think that's an important lesson. That's why I made this video. It's no matter how long you've done this, like Ross Cameron, who have done this for like 10, 20 years, he loses money. If you do this like for 2, 3, 4 weeks, you will lose money. And then you have days where you make money, right? The important thing is that you make money over the long run. As I always said, see it as a business, see it on the long run. There will be days you lose. If you overall always have a profit, that's all you're looking for. All right. So yeah, so that's it for today's video. I just wanted to show you, yes, I lost some money during trading, and it happens. It's not the world's end, so it's just happening. All right. So don't do these mistakes. Again, this is no financial advice. That's just my journey in the day trading scene, if you will, in the day trading business. And I just want to give you that information that this will happen, that it can happen, and it happens to me. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. It helps the channel. And if you have any questions, please let me know. All right. Thank you. Bye.